Hey, horror fiends, buckle up for a bone-chillin' ride with American Nightmares. Tonight, we're cruising down the haunted asphalt of Route 66, where a rundown motel hides a secret that'll make your skin crawl. One weary traveler checks into room 13, finding a guest book filled with names of folks who vanished decades ago. As the night gets colder, the room starts whispering, and it's got his name. This ain't just a story. It's a true American legend born from the shadows of the Mother Road. Smash that subscribe button, hit the bell, and tell us in the comments. You ever stayed somewhere that felt wrong? Let's check into the nightmare. It was October 2017, and Jake Thornton, a 32-year-old freelance photographer from Chicago, was road tripping across the U.S., chasing the ghost of Route 66 for a photo book. Jake was a city guy, tall, scruffy beard, always in flannel, with a Nikon slung around his neck like a lifeline. He'd heard the stories about the Mother Road, diners frozen in time, gas stations swallowed by dust, and motels where folks checked in but never checked out. To Jake, it was all folklore, fuel for moody black and white shots. He'd been driving for weeks, from Illinois to Arizona, sleeping in his beat-up Ford pickup when motels got too pricey. On October 22, just outside Kingman, Arizona, a storm rolled in, thunder booming like a shotgun, rain hammering the windshield. Jake needed a bed, and fast. He spotted the Desert Star Motel, a sagging relic off the highway, its neon sign buzzing vacancy in red, half the letters dead. The place looked like it hadn't seen a guest since the 70s. Peeling paint, rusted railings, a faded mural of a cactus on the office wall. Jake pulled into the gravel lot, wipers battling the downpour. The office smelled of stale coffee and mildew, a bell jingling as he stepped in. The clerk, an old guy named Earl, leathery skin, bolo tie, eyes like he'd seen too much, barely looked up from his crossword. "Room 13's open," he muttered, sliding a key across the counter. $10 a night, no refunds." "Room 13, huh?" Jake grinned, leaning on the counter. "Sounds like a horror flick." Earl didn't laugh, just pointed to a faded sign. "Cash only. Don't touch the guest book." Jake glanced at it, a leather-bound book on a stand, pages yellowed, looking like it hadn't been opened in years. He handed over a crumpled 10, grabbed the key, and headed out, rain soaking his flannel. Room 13 was at the end of the L-shaped motel, door creaking like it was groaning. Inside, it was a time capsule. Orange shag carpet, a rotary phone, a boxy TV with rabbit ears, and a bed sagging like it was tired of life. The air smelled of dust and something sour, like old tobacco. Jake tossed his duffel on the floor, snapped a few photos of the retro vibe, and crashed on the bed, figuring he'd sleep through the storm. Around 1 a.m., Jake woke to a low hum, like a radio stuck between stations. The storm was still raging, thunder shaking the windows, but the hum wasn't coming from outside. It was in the room. He sat up, rubbing his eyes, and noticed the guest book on the nightstand. Weird, he hadn't seen it when he checked in. It was identical to the one in the office, leather-cracked, pages curled like they'd been wet and dried 100 times. Curiosity got him. He flipped it open, the spine creaking like a coffin lid. The pages were filled with names, dates, and short notes, going back to the 50s. Martha and Jim, honeymoon, June 1958, great stay. Bobby T., trucker, April 1963, beds lumpy but cheap. Normal stuff at first. But as he turned the pages, the entries got stranger. L&R, October 1972, room feels alive, don't stay past midnight. Tom H., March 1985, heard whispers, checked out early. The last entry, dated October 22, 1997, exactly 20 years ago, read, "Clara V., room 13, it knows my name, I'm not leaving." Jake's gut twisted. The ink looked fresh,
like it had been written yesterday. He checked the date on his phone, October 22nd, 2017. Coincidence? He muttered, but his voice sounded thin in the dark. He flipped back, noticing a pattern. Every few years, on October 22nd, someone stayed in room 13 and didn't check out. Names, no departure dates. A newspaper clipping was taped inside the back cover, brittle and yellowed, from 1972. Local woman vanishes from Desert Star Motel. Clara Vance, 29, last seen in room 13. No trace. Jake's heart kicked up. He remembered the urban legends, Route 66 motels where guests disappeared, tied to a cursed room that locals avoided. He laughed it off, snapping a pic of the guestbook for his book. Good creepy stuff, he said, but the hum grew louder, now a low chant, like voices in a choir, coming from the walls.
Jake tried the light switch. Nothing. The room was dark, save for the red glow of the vacancy sign bleeding through the curtains. His phone glitched, the screen flickering with static, then flashing a single word: stay. He dropped it, the battery dead despite being at 80%. The air got heavy, like breathing through a wet rag, and the smell of tobacco turned sharp like blood and ash. The rotary phone rang, sharp, jangling like it was angry. Jake stared, frozen. Nobody had his number here. He picked it up, hand shaking. Static crackled, then a woman's voice, soft but wrong, like it was coming from underwater. You signed the book, Jake. He slammed the receiver down, heart hammering. Who's there? He yelled, grabbing his flashlight. The beam caught the guest book, opened to a new page, his name in his own handwriting. Jake Thornton, October 22, 2017, room 13. He hadn't written it. He swore he hadn't. The chant grew louder, words taking shape. Stay with us. The walls pulsed like they were breathing, and the mirror above the dresser cracked, splitting his reflection into jagged pieces. In the shards, he saw faces, not his. A woman, pale, eyes hollow, lips moving like she was whispering. Others behind her, men and women, all faded, like old photos come to life. Jake bolted for the door, but the knob wouldn't turn. The key was gone from his pocket, replaced by a cold, heavy coin, etched with a symbol, a circle with a slash, like a Route 66 marker twisted wrong. He pounded the door, yelling for Earl, but the motel was silent, save for the storm and the chant. His flashlight flickered, catching a figure in the corner. A woman in a 70s dress, hair matted with blood, eyes glowing red like the neon outside. Clara? Jake whispered, remembering the newspaper clipping. She pointed to the guest book, her voice echoing in his skull. You're one of us now. Jake tried the light switch. Nothing. The room was dark, save for the red glow of the vacancy sign bleeding through the curtains. His phone glitched, the screen flickering with static, then flashing a single word: stay. He dropped it, the battery dead despite being at 80%. The air got heavy, like breathing through a wet rag, and the smell of tobacco turned sharp, like blood and ash. The rotary phone rang, sharp, jangling like it was angry. Jake stared, frozen. Nobody had his number here. Jake's head spun, visions hitting like a freight train. He saw Clara Vance, 1972, checking into room 13, her suitcase packed with dreams of a new life in L.A. She signed the guest book, smiling at the clerk, Earl, younger but just as grim. That night, the room turned on her. Whispers from the walls, the mirror cracking, her name written in blood she didn't spill. She tried to run, but the door wouldn't budge. The coin appeared in her hand, cold as death. Shadows dragged her into the floor, her screams swallowed by the chant, Stay with us. Jake saw others, Martha and Jim, 1958, honeymooners laughing till the room turned dark. Bobby T., 1963, a trucker whose rig was found empty. Tom H., 1985, a drifter whose guitar still sat in the corner.
strings snapping on their own. The visions showed the room's hunger. Built in 1955, the Desert Star was cursed from the start, sitting on a stretch of Route 66 where travelers vanished even before the motel stood. Locals whispered of a deal gone wrong. A motel owner in the 50s, desperate for business, made a pact with something older than the desert, something that fed on souls. Room 13 was its altar, the guestbook its ledger. Every October 22 it claimed a new name, binding him to the room forever. Jake saw himself in the visions, standing in room 13, eyes hollow, chanting with the others, his Nikon shattered on the floor.
Jake snapped out of it, sweat pouring, the room freezing despite the Arizona heat. Clara's figure glided closer, her hand cold as ice, grabbing his wrist. The burn left a mark, a circle with a slash, like the coin. "Sign or stay," she hissed, her voice a chorus of the lost. Jake yanked free, stumbling to the bathroom, hoping for another exit. The sink dripped blood, the mirror showing not his face but Clara's, smiling with teeth like broken glass. He smashed the mirror, shards falling like rain, each one reflecting a different guest. Martha, Jim, Bobby, Tom, all screaming silent. He grabbed the guest book, figuring it was the key. The pages burned his hands, like touching a live wire, but he tore at them, ripping out his name. The room shook, the chant turned into a scream, like 1,000 voices in pain. Clara lunged, her form flickering like a bad signal, her eyes blazing red. Jake dodged, grabbing a lighter from his duffel. "You want me? Burn your damn book," he yelled, setting the pages alight. The flames were unnatural, blue and cold, but the book burned, ash floating like snow. Clara's scream pierced his skull, the other faces in the mirror wailing as they faded. The door clicked open, the storm outside calming to a drizzle. Jake ran, leaving his duffel, his camera, everything. The parking lot was empty, his truck's tires slashed. Earl stood in the office doorway, staring like he knew what happened. "Told you not to touch the book," he said, turning away. Jake hitched a ride to Kingman, calling 911 from a gas station. "Something ain't right at the Desert Star," he told the dispatcher. Cops checked it out, found nothing. No guest book, no coin, no Clara. The motel was clean, room 13 locked, like it hadn't been opened in years. "Delirium," the sheriff said. "Desert plays tricks." Jake never went back. He ditched his Route 66 project, moving to Denver, working retail instead of photography. The burn on his wrist never faded, a faint circle with a slash, itching when it rained. He checked online. Stories of the Desert Star popped up on forums, travelers talking about Room 13, whispers in the walls, names in a book that shouldn't exist. Locals in Kingman swore the motel was cursed, built on blood from the old road. A 1950s article mentioned a pact with the desert, but no proof. The motel closed in 2018, boarded up, but truckers say the vacancy sign still flickers on October 22, and shadows move in room 13. Jake don't talk about it much, but when he does, his voice shakes. "That room ain't empty," he says. "It's waiting, and it knows your name." Horror fiends, Route 66 just got a whole lot darker. This true American nightmares tale of the Desert Star Motel's Room 13, where a guest book binds souls and Clara's ghost waits for the next name, proves some rooms never let you check out. Did this story make your skin crawl? Smash that like button and subscribe to American Nightmares for more true horrors. Got a creepy motel story from your own road trip? Spill it in the comments. We're dying to hear. Hit the bell to catch every scare and share this video to spread the fright. Until the next highway shadow moves, keep your keys close and your courage closer. This is American Nightmares, fading into the dark. Stay haunted.